My question is that how do individuals who depend on building a career in an economy such that is driven by wokeism can survive and still stay true to their moral stance?
So here's a definition of faith. Faith is the willingness to assume that no matter what happens to you, if you tell the truth, it's the best thing that could possibly happen to you. Now, this is a very weird thing to understand. Now, the reason people lie or remain silent, there's two reasons. One is to gain an undeserved advantage, and the other is to escape a deserved punishment. And so people will lie and manipulate or remain silent to, you could say, to twist the fabric of reality so that it makes itself manifest to their benefit. But the question is, benefit by what standards and over what time frame? And so it's definitely the case that you can gain a temporary advantage by deception, but that doesn't mean that you're gaining a medium to long-term advantage. Right, and so then you might say, well, how do I play things out so that I balance short-term, medium-term, and long-term advantage optimally? And the answer to that is you say what you think.
Between the TikTok therapy hack, dopamine detox fads, and an avalanche of feel-good mindset affirmations, pop psychology has ghosted the oldest, cheapest, most reliable, side effect-free intervention on record: radical honesty. Self-help gurus are hawking magic crystals to heal your inner child. Pop psychology produces all kinds of enhance the quality of your life tips, tricks, shortcuts, hacks. With all that noise in the air, we continually overlook that most effective tool: looking in the mirror and learning to tell the unvarnished truth.
If you lie, then the life you have isn't yours. The life you have is the life of the spirit of the lie. And if that's the life you want, then go ahead and lie with silence or with commission. But if you want your life, then tell the truth. Your truth. Your truth is you. And the life you have, if you tell the truth, is your life. Well, what possible threat would be sufficient to entice you to give that up? Right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
In this video, I am going to comment on the things that Jordan Peterson just shared in this interaction in his talk at the Oxford Union. And I'm going to dig a little deeper about this idea of trust and faith. As he just said there, having the faith that telling the truth is the best thing you can possibly do helped transform my life when I was living in addiction and alcoholism. Step one was admitting that I was powerless over these substances and that my life was unmanageable. It was the first time in my entire life I ever really learned what honesty meant. And I was taught that if I could honor that honesty, then perhaps I could have the faith or the trust that that was the best way for me to move forward. Now, it's not always so simple, of course. It can be difficult to tell the truth. The reason we have a hard time telling the truth is because of all kinds of internal struggles and beliefs and fears and rationalizations. Nevertheless, it's still the best thing that we can possibly do. My name is Mike. This is the Starts With Me channel. I hope you find this video helpful. So rewinding a little bit, principle number one of honesty. Alcoholics Anonymous, many other wisdom traditions, the Stoics, the Buddhists, Confucius, and other modern Western philosophers all echo these sentiments, and I'll cover a few of them in the video. So first, with the wisdom of the alcoholics. Step one, admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. Honesty is not just for people like me who are in recovery. It is a virtue practicing, ethical, moral stance and orientation to the world. Clearly, again, as is expressed in this Oxford Union question, this person shares many friends who are really struggling with being honest and saying what they think, largely due to the fear of cancel culture, of the woke insanity that's taken over public discourse, although it does seem to be receding. So Doesn't matter where you are in your life. This principle matters so much and will lead you to a good life. One of the AA founders, Bill W., says that recovery starts the moment we drop that mask, the moment we start telling the truth about our addictions, about all the terrible things we're doing, or the hiding, or the lying, or the stealing, or the whatever the behavior is. This is when we stop digging that hole deeper and deeper. Modern psychological research points to the value of this as well. There was a study done at Notre Dame University that shows that people who lie less, tell the truth more, experience better relationships, less stress, fewer headaches, and overall better quality of life. Who would have thought? These are things we're told: tell the truth, don't lie, stop lying, all that nonsense. But when it comes to us as individuals in the minutia of our lives, we come up with all kinds of rationalizations and justifications for why this time I'm not going to tell the truth. It's because I don't want to hurt that person's feelings, or I don't want to deal with the backlash of what that person says, or the argument that will ensue if I tell the truth. All of this avoidance perpetuates the idea that lying is okay. I strongly encourage you to check out Sam Harris's book on lying. It's a long essay. It's fantastic. So we know telling the truth matters, yet many of us are so scared to do it. And again, I had to be at my rock bottom before truth-telling became an essential source of life for me. And ever since that day, about 13 years ago, my life has improved moment by moment, day by day. Of course, there's been ups and downs, etc. It is the pathway. And having faith or trust that that will get you there is what we also need. So back to other ancient wisdom references to why honesty is important. The Stoics treated truth like oxygen. Marcus Aurelius warned people to never esteem anything good for you or an advantage if it makes you break your word and lose self-respect. Epictetus added, self-deception is slavery, truth-telling is freedom. For Stoics, honesty isn't just living. For Stoics, truth-telling isn't just not lying. It's living so transparently that your character is smelled and crafted through alchemy, like incense filling a room. I know personally, as I've shared my journey online and publicly and in schools and workplaces and blah, 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 that because I was taught by others like me how to be honest, how to tell the truth, I can carry that gift and share it with others, and it resonates with people deeply, deeply, deeply. So you're not just helping yourself, you are also helping contribute to a world and making the world ideally a better place. One of Buddhism's 5 precepts include honesty. Abstain from false or harmful speech. Now that idea, harmful speech, can be misperceived, particularly in modern times with our obsession around free speech and all these things, which is a good one. Free speech matters. But in this context, it's don't be purposely an asshole. So truth-telling does not give you a license to be a piece of shit, okay? Truth-telling needs to be carried with some sort of moral stance. And we don't lie to spare people's feelings, but we also don't go out of our way to be an asshole. So the Buddhists remind us to speak truthful and try to be beneficial in our speech, even if it may hurt someone's feelings by hearing a hard truth, which again is one of those rationalizations that people often engage in to avoid truth-telling. The Buddha likened lies to seeds of suffering. Those seeds sprout mistrust, delusion, resentment, all kinds of difficult human relationships and realities that happen from not being honest. This idea from the Buddhists of right speech clears the mind of illusions, of lies, of rationalizations and justifications, allows us to have insight, which then often leads into right action, good decisions, and behavior that helps contribute not only to your well-being, but the well-being of those around you. Confucius, Gandhi, modern philosophers like Immanuel Kant all agreed that truth-telling is a strict duty. Our modern society cannot sustain justice without it. Our institutions, everything in some sense functions on the predication of truth-telling. Now, of course, you can point out thousands and millions of examples where that doesn't happen. Okay, human beings are not perfect, but these are ideals. And these are things we must have faith in and work towards so that we can manage to keep this system and everything afloat and improve it as well. Which goes back to the question the student asked. And part of the commentary on the modern rot of Western institutions is all around this idea of lying, deceit, resentful, manipulative words and actions to avoid telling the truth and accepting responsibility for things. So if we want to save the world, and if you find yourself whining and complaining about things, are you telling the truth? Where are you deceiving yourself? That's where the focus needs to be. Back to the great teachers, Confucius said, if you're honest, people will rely on you and they will esteem you as well. Across all cultures, honesty is, across many ancient wisdom traditions, honesty is the structure that keeps our societies together. Even in modern psychological research, honesty as a character strength, which I think is ridiculous that it's a character strength, it's a way of being. It's not something that you just pluck off the shelf, but it does predict lower depression, better relationships, less physical problems as well. How often have you gone to the doctor and lied about something that you're doing in your life, which then avoids the doctor giving you the right insight or the right advice or guidance on how to take care of yourself? When we lie, our cortisol often spikes. Stress is a result of that. Difficult emotion ensues. And when we tell the truth, that is reduced. Now, of course, truth telling can be really difficult, especially if you're owning up to something or admitting something you did that wasn't okay. One of the most paradoxical moments of my life was the moment I had to fess up to my wife about something I was lying to her about as I was recovering. So leading up to that moment, I almost was like about to have a heart attack. I was in panic mode. But the second I let it out, a giant sense of relief overcame me. Now, that did lead to all kinds of conflicts and repair and hard work to take responsibility for my lying and make amends for it. But it all led to a much better life. I'm still married to this lovely woman. That was over 10 years ago. We have 2 children. Our life is pretty good today. So lying saved my life from drugs and alcohol, but it also, honesty saved my life from drugs and alcohol and mental illness. Honesty also saved my marriage and allowed me to have the lovely family and job that I have today. So whether it's Confucius, the Buddha, the Stoics, Jordan Peterson, psychological research, we all know it's not rocket science that honesty is good for us. And my invitation to you is to see if there are any ways in your life that you are not being honest with yourself or others, and to try to practice that. So here's some practical tools you could use to practice being honest. Write out one thing that's brutally honest every day for a little while and see if that antenna you have for truth telling gets sharpened and honed and improved. Having an accountability partner, a friend, a sponsor, a mentor, a therapist, someone who can keep you responsible and accountable to telling the truth. Can you quickly and promptly address little white lies or times when you maybe just don't tell the truth sort of automatically or habitually? Catch yourself and try to correct it immediately. Okay, now part 2 of this video is around this idea of faith or trust. So now that we've established this idea of radical honesty and its need in human endeavors and living a good ethical life, we're going to turn to part 2, this idea of trust or faith. So we'll just hear Jordan Peterson say that sentence again. So betting your well-being on truth telling, again, takes courage, takes faith, takes maybe even a little bit of hope and trust, especially in our world of clickbait, social media, TikTok reels, of how to put your life together and live your best life and thrive. All that fucking bullshit. The reminder, every wisdom tradition, all the scientific data insist that truth telling and this idea of trusting an ethical way of life or having faith in it leads to well-being. So the Stoics do have faith in this idea of logos, which you will also hear Jordan Peterson often discuss. the logos, the truth-telling that brings order to the world. Now, we can separate this idea of faith and trust from the religious traditions, which are obviously there, and many people have many problems with that. And this isn't about faith in some extraterrestrial being or some superhuman being that doesn't exist to our eyes. This is trust in these ethical principles, faith that if I'm honest and act in this way, my life will get better and I will feel better. Back to this idea of the Stoic logos, Marcus Aurelius says, everything happens as it should. Observe this reality and you will see. Epictetus says, there is only one way to happiness. Cease worrying about things beyond your will and you will see. Epictetus says, there is only one way to happiness. Cease worrying about things beyond your will. Buddhists have this idea of intelligent confidence. Shraddha. I can never say those words properly. This idea of confident trust. Faith is the seed. Trust is the seed. Practice and wisdom are the harvesting of those seeds. We tell the truth today, right now, because we trust tomorrow's goodness and clarity and right action will be the harvest of those seeds. Truth-telling and this idea of trust and faith is a form of divinity. Gandhi says God is truth and love. God is ethics and morality, which I probably agree with. That would be my framework, something along those lines. As mentioned a little bit before, Confucius teaches that honest behavior promotes society's trust in you, and the harmony in our communities depends on that reliability. Living transparently, honestly, ethically aligns us with what Martin Luther King might say, the long arc of justice, the long arc of a good life. Ancient maxims, modern metrics, 21st century research designs all show that honesty and integrity, again, leads to better mental health, better well-being, a better life. There's a paradox of trust, of faith, and that paradox is acting truthfully and with integrity, knowing it's the right thing to do, but separating that from an outcome that you think you need. The outcome doesn't matter. It's the process of trust and honesty that matter. We must stay in the process of these behaviors. And as Jordan Peterson again mentions in that video, wherever the chips fall doesn't matter, because we know we're predicating our behavior and the quality of our mind on ethical action, not the outcome of those actions. Sometimes truth-telling causes us to suffer in the short run, but as I've mentioned often in the video, the long-term outcomes are always better. Stoic providence, Buddhist dharma, Gandhi's truth as God all say, bet on honesty first. Evidence will justify the wager later. Some little practices you may bring about are just to watch yourself as you tell the truth. Watch what happens in your life. And don't attach outcomes to telling the truth. So I know that's a bit of a paradox. See what happens in your mood, in your relationships, when you just act more honestly, more forthrightly, trusting that that is the right thing to do. Well, thank you so much for listening, for watching. Please like this video, comment on it, subscribe to this channel, share this with someone else who you think might find it helpful. I wish you all the best. Take it easy. Peace out. I am very grateful that you watched to the end of this video. Please click one of the boxes to watch more of our content, and otherwise have a great day. Peace out.